Every day we wake up and we make decisions. Just me here making this video alone. There are a number of decisions which are questionable, to say the least. This haircut, my eyebrow expressions, and the fact I have a phone behind me for some reason is just a few examples of this. But when it comes to decisions, we often look for what is best for ourselves, if we're in a good state of mind, that is. Sometimes we'll actively look for choices which worsen our life because we feel like we deserve it, but that's a whole different video. But can we ever really make the right decision? And I would argue 100% not. Now, initially, this might seem like a very pessimistic and a bit of a downer of a video. It's actually one of the best things about life and the best things about the way humans approach stuff. And I feel like we need to shine a spotlight on it. And then I've got a little turnaround, a little M. Night Shyamalan reveal for you at the end, which is going to give this whole thing a very optimistic outlook. So let's hop into it. Now, before we begin, I'd like to address the two big elephants in the room, which is number one, I am assuming that humans have autonomy or free will, which I understand is a debated point, but I think it's more for people with loincloths and long grey hair and a big old beard to discuss that sort of abject reality. For the sake of this video, let's assume that we have at least some choice. We're not just NPCs who are doomed to only repeat one option till the end of days, and that choices are available. And then the second one that we need to sort of confront before we begin all of this is the sense of right and wrong, best and worst. How do we know what that is? Does it exist, etc., etc.? And again, let's leave it to the people in the loincloths. For the sake of this video, let's assume that best and worst is dictated by our perceived what will make us happy, if that makes some sense. So with that out the way, let's get into it. So I was in bed last night, as I normally am. I'm a bit of a bed fiend at night time. I do like to go to sleep every day. That's a bit of a habit. But I was getting hungry and I thought I'd treat myself. So I opened up one of those food delivery apps and I was hit by that thing. I feel like if you're watching this video, you're probably part of like the Venn diagram of people who experience this, of choice paralysis, which is I had so many options in front of me. It kind of freaked me out and I got all like existential, the different pathways. Like if I ordered Chinese, maybe my life will improve significantly. If I ordered pizza, maybe I'd go down some hellish landscape. I'd turn into a bug and I would never sort of be able to think again, and I'd be squashed under someone's foot. I think there was a bloke who wrote a book about that. Not about the pizza part. Franz Kafka did not mention pizza in the Metamorphosis, although that would have been cool to see. Anyway, we're digressing. That was a terrible choice I've just made. But it motivated me to kind of make this video, which is, as someone, I've dealt with choice paralysis a lot, and at times it's sort of, it's impeded my life in terms of not going for certain things, or just making a decision that was safe because I didn't know what to do, and it all just got on top of me. I just wanted to end whatever thing I was thinking about, whether that be food, whether that be romantically, whether that be career-wise. So it's safe to assume that humans want the best choice most of the time. Again, we've talked about it before. Sometimes we're in depressive spirals. It happens. Don't beat yourself up over it. But there's so many choices. There's so many. But even just me sitting on this side of the table to that side of the table, there's so many arrangements, and then there's so many offshooting things that the outcomes and the actual choice is never just two. It's all these little things. Should I sit like this? Should I go like that? And what this kind of leads me to is the main point of this video, which is you will never make the right decision. There's an infinite amount of options whenever you choose to do anything. Like in every millisecond of every second of every minute of every hour of every day of every, you get the idea. You have an infinite possibility of things to do, and this can seem absolutely soul crushing. It really can. Like, you can wake up and you'll just be like, oh my god, I'm never gonna do the right thing ever. I'm never gonna do the absolute max of what I can do. And this has somehow never dawned on me before, and now all of a sudden, you're just freaking out and you're going, oh God, my life's meaningless. And maybe life isn't like how the TV shows show it. So that's important to first establish, which is the point of this video, is you will never make the right decision. But this is where the sort of Shyamalan twist goes, because there's so many choices that you will never make the right decision. And that is depressing. But what isn't depressing is you have so many choices, you will never, ever, 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 ever make the worst decision. All right? You'll never, never, ever make the 100% worst decision at any point of your life that you can make. And I think that's something, kind of beautiful, in that I could even intentionally try and fuck up, and I would never be able to fuck up to my absolute max, which is a bit of a safety net. So we do have this, I don't want to co-opt the term glass ceiling, but like a glass ceiling, just on it. There we go. It's my word now. All right. Any sort of struggle with glass ceilings, any actually meaningful social movements, it's now been overtaken by some random British guy next to a telephone who's just talking about one time where he didn't know what to eat for dinner. But there's a glass ceiling on success and happiness, etc. You'll never reach that max. But there's also a big old safety net there. All right. You will never, ever make the wrong decision, which is a beautiful thing to think about. Now, I would like to sort of, that's my main point of the video, is if you're in that mindset of thinking, I can never make the right decision, oh, this is all so pointless, you can never make the wrong decision. So that's a little bit of a bring up. And now I've got something that hopefully will hit home with you, which is if you have suffered from choice paralysis, and I think everyone has at some point. You get started very young on choices, you know. Even when you're at school, it's like, oh, what are you going to study? And then if you decide to go to college or university, what are you going to pick as your majors or minors? What are your options? And then even then, you're like, okay, so I either have to be an artist or an economist, or I could be a chemist, and then each one that you pick removes all of these other ones. And I think that can get us to shut off a little bit. We don't want to fully commit to one choice, because then we lose all of the other ones. So if you have been struggling like that right now, in your past, etc., etc., let's say you're at a crossroads right now and you don't know which way to go down, and you think, I can't make the best decision. And even though Oscar, even that's my name, by the way, Oscar, I'm not just referring to some sort of award ceremony. Even though I don't know what to pick, and you've said I can't pick the worst option, there's too many choices. I would like to turn you on to a lovely poem by our good friend Sylvia Plath, in the Bell Jar, about a fig tree. Now, I recommend all of you do read this in its entirety. It's very short, but I'm going to make it even shorter for the sake of YouTube. And essentially, there's a woman, and she comes up to a fig tree, and she looks, and there's these big juicy figs on the fig tree, and she looks at each one of them, and in each one of them is a potential future. So in one, she sees herself as an excellent mother with a ton of children, and the happiest life imaginable in that way. And then she looks to the other, and then she sees herself as a well-renowned philosopher, okay, answering the big questions. Her name goes down in history. And then on the other, she's on a beach somewhere, just living carelessly, letting the sun hit her skin. It's amazing. And these trees and these branches go on for days and days and days, and there's all these futures, and she just can't decide to pick. And eventually, she waits so long to pick a fig that they start to wither and drop to the ground. Now, I'm hoping you get that meaning. I'm not going to spell it out for you, or at least the meaning that I got from it. But I hope that resonates with some of you. I'll leave it there because my videos have been getting a bit long recently. Shout out to my 13 subscribers. I love all of you. And I hope this video has been some use to someone. Thank you. And don't let those figs fall to the ground, eh?